This is the new Honda Prelude. It's pretty, isn't it? But the big question is it really worth $65,000? Well, the good news is, I reckon I got the answer for you.
So what do we actually have here? Well, underneath that attractive body is the same platform and powertrain as the Civic Hybrid, but the suspension and brakes have been pinched off the hot Civic Type R. That means three-way adaptive dampers, Brembo calipers and enlarged rotors, but the suspension's been retuned for comfort and refinement rather than outright performance. The whole package rides on 19-inch alloy wheels as standard, and inside the cabin you'll find a unique interior not shared with any other model in Honda's range. The heated sports seats are upholstered in leather, as is the multifunction steering wheel, but we're disappointed to report that Pugh's are manual adjust only, which frankly it seems a bit tight on a $65,000 coupe, especially one aimed at grand touring. Other spec highlights include a 10.2-inch digital cockpit, a 9-inch infotainment system, sat-nav, wireless phone projection, connected services, an 8-speaker Bose sound system, and dual-zone climate control. Complaints? Well, they mainly focus around the seats. You see, while comfortable, the bolstering is less aggressive on the passenger side than the driver's, which just seems dumb seeing as both occupants will experience the same G-forces in corners. And on the subject of the passenger seat, the cushion's too flat. It feels like you're going to slide out of it under heavy braking or even going down a decent descent. We also have reservations about the cream center console and the rear seats being wrapped in grey cloth, which quite honestly just looks cheap and feels a bit lazy. The rest of the cabin materials are decent and in classic Honda fashion feel well screwed together. But looping back to that $65,000 asking price, we'd love to see a power adjustable driver's seat and lumbar support at the bare minimum. And if we put our wishful thinking hats on, a heads-up display wouldn't go too far astray either.
But what does all this mean when you get behind the wheel? Well, the short answer is it's really bloody refined. Sure, there is a little bit of tyre raw from the Conti Premium Contact 6 tyres, but based on our experience today in not quite monsoonal conditions, but certainly heavy rain, this thing sticks to the road really well. And so on that basis, I'm more than happy to take a little bit of tyre raw exchange for safe, secure grip, no matter what the condition. The steering wheel, even in comfort mode, it's light and direct. The car tracks exactly where you want it to go. If you need a bit more weight, you dial up GT mode or sport mode, or even individual if you've configured it to your liking. But as linear and direct as it is, there's not a whole heap of feel coming back to you as a driver. You definitely feel more through your butt cheeks than you do through the tiller. Now, how does that compare to something like a BRZ or a GR86 or whatnot? Well, this is not the same kettle of fish. This is, in Honda's words, a coupe GT. This is not a dedicated sports car. And frankly, yeah, fair enough. This thing, it will do the sports car dynamics. You can absolutely hook in your favorite. It just doesn't quite have the same level of involvement or the same sort of excitement and vigor from the powertrain. This is at its happiest when you're pottering along between 5 and 7/10, rough roads, open country, flowing corners. That's this thing's happy place. If or when you decide you do fancy a stab, you simply dial up an angrier drive mode and activate the S Plus shift system, which gives you 8 virtual gear ratios to play with via the regenerative paddle shifters. Everything that you feel through the paddle shifters, including blipping if you can hear it, everything you get is software based. Which is fine, it does enough to get by. And at the end of the day, this isn't meant to be going into battle with a GR86 or a Subaru BRZ or even a GR Corolla or i30N. This is a more relaxed, more mature, more grown-up entity. And realistically, you can just leave it to do its own thing. Go back to wafting along in a petrol-electric hybrid. The eCVT motor and petrol engine, they'll just usher you along with minimal fuss. That is until you require maximum performance, at which point you become aware you've got 135 kilowatts. And there is actually a decent amount of mid-range torque from the motor, but just, I want a bit more. This is meant to be a GT car, and part of what makes GT cars, or at least this established hierarchy, really good is bucket loads of infinite power, overtaking power for days, as it were. This, it's not slow, but I'm not sure it quite has enough. An extra 10 or 15 kilowatts definitely wouldn't go astray, especially in the top end. Now, not only would that give it a little bit more performance, but it's also going to give it just a little bit of a a little bit of a USP, a little bit of an extra leg up over the standard Civic Hybrid, which uses coincidentally exactly the same powertrain, albeit minus the virtual shifting system. I feel like the chassis, it's capable of a lot, like really a lot. I mean, the Civic Type R exists, for instance, but we just need a little bit more. It'll just feed into that coupe, sports car-y GT vibe that the exterior and the cabin deliver. But what about those Brembo brakes? Well, yeah, they work. The pedal feel is good, it's consistent, it doesn't fight with the regen, just gets on with the job, it's nice. So where does all this actually leave us? Well, if you're expecting the Prelude to be some sort of front drive hybrid rip snorter, you're going to be disappointed. What it is just a really nice coupe. Not all coupes need to be sports cars. Even the original Prelude was not necessarily an out-and-out sports car. What it was just a nice, classy coupe. And it wasn't alone. The Hyundai S Coupe, and then eventually the Tiburon, the non-GT4 Celicas, Toyota Paseo, BMW 316 and 318, none of them were overtly sporty. They were just two-door versions of normal cars. This is more than a normal car, but it's not aggressive. So, who is this car for? This is for drivers who don't need or necessarily want to attack their favorite twisty road at Mac Jesus and feel everything that's going on from the car. It has a really good chassis, and you can hook in if you want to, but you don't have to. This is for going and seeing the countryside, covering some distance, stringing the corners together on your favorite road. This is for perhaps a more mature buyer, as reflected by the price tag for that matter. So back to my original question. Is the new Prelude worth $65,000? Almost. 60 grand? Yep, no worries. But for 65, we're 10 to 15 kilowatts short, and just a couple of equipment omissions that really ought to be there. It's so much more than a Civic Coupe. It just needs the punch to back that up.